Hi everyone, I'm here with an update and I'm sorry for the quality of the video. Unfortunately I forgot to power up my camcorder, so I'm actually having to use my laptop's webcam. Anyway, I just thought I'd give you an update on how everything is going for us. Today is the 30th of November and tomorrow was meant to be our egg collection. When I remember I showed you my plan, that we had everything scheduled out, that I was meant to do my trigger shot last night and then we were meant to do everything from there. Well, we went for our scans and it's actually been pushed back a bit. Now, what has happened is I've had to have my baseline scan. I think last time I spoke to you, I was doing my Menopur, which was my stimulation in medication, which was, looking back, quite a while ago now. Just looking. My first Menopur was 19th of November. And now, as you saw the video for that went all absolutely fine. So I was on that for 5 days before we went in for a scan. Now, the first couple of times I did my Menopur, it stung like anything. I mean, the first video, for some reason, I didn't sting at all. And then the second video, it stung like the fire of Hades. I have no idea why, it just did. But it was kind of painful, but it's kind of settled down now. I have become more bruised as each injection gone. As of today, this will be my 27th Brucellin and my 12th Menopur. My tummy is bruised, sore beyond belief, but I have found a little godsend, which is Emma cream. This stuff is brilliant. You pop a little dot on it about an hour or two before, I would say like a kind of, just before your injection. I would probably do a nice sized dollop, maybe like the size of that, onto where you're going to be injecting. Pop a little cotton wool ball or cotton wool pad over it, tape it over, leave it there just before injection, take it off, stab yourself. You don't feel it at all. I mean, you feel the medication going in, but you don't actually feel the needle going in, which helps so much. Believe me, I would recommend trying it. So yeah, that was going all fine. As I said, I had my first scan on the 24th, which was Monday. Not the Monday just gone. Oh yeah, it was the Monday just gone. So yeah, I had my first scan. Actually no, wait, sorry, go back. Oh yeah, that was my first scan. To find out how I was going with my Menopur. So I'd had my baseline scan, that was all fine. I was ready to go ahead, so that was ready. And then we had a scan the 24th, which was to see how everything was growing inside and how my lining was. On that day, my lining was 7.6 millimeters thick, which I presume is good. It's meant to increase as you go with your Menopur. And I had 11 follicles measuring between 6 and 9 millimeters. Now, they told me at the hospital that your follicles need to be around the 20 millimeter mark to kind of be ready for egg collection, so that's where we're working our way towards. I also had a blood test to check my hormone levels just to make sure they were all okay. They came back that my estrogen levels were fine, could continue on the same dose, which at that point was 150 international units. So I had a day off. Obviously I was still doing my injections, but then we went back for another scan on Wednesday 26th. That's where we found out that my follicles weren't growing at a rate that they'd hoped. They have to stim me very low because I'm polycystic. If they did it too quickly, then there's a high chance I can overstimulate, and they don't want to happen because it means then that they have to cancel the procedure. But on that day, my womb lining measured 7, apparently 0.6, doesn't matter between nurses anyway. and there was 11 follicles still, and they were between 7 and 10 millimeters. So they'd literally only grown by a couple of millimeters, so if that, and it was a little bit disappointing, as you can imagine. I had another blood test, so that was my second one of the week, and that was to see if my estrogen levels had gone up again, which they had started increasing, which was brilliant. There was a couple of times where I went to inject and the needle wouldn't actually go in, so I was getting frustrated because the skin starts to toughen up a little bit the more you inject yourself, I've noticed. So the Emla cream does help that, because you can really stab yourself and not feel it. And also this week I've had a horrible cold, so I've had a sore throat, a runny nose, kind of bad headaches, but that was nothing to do with medication, it's just something that happens. But luckily I've managed to get over the worst of it. So yeah, they did say I need to up my protein, so I've been eating lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of protein. So gammon, chicken, eggs, pork, beef, steak, things like that. Anything that I can get my protein. Cheese. I mean, cheese like it's going out of fashion. I feel sorry for my husband. I mean, all the cheese and he's got none. So that was fine. I'd filled my sharp spin up by the 27th, so I had to take that in and get another one, which went through quite quickly. And then my latest scan was Friday the 28th, and this scan was a lot better. They said my lining had gone from 7.6 to 9.2, which is heading in the right direction, which I'm quite happy with. And on this day I had 16 follicles, so that's 1/6, and I had actually 8 on each side, so it was symmetrical. They did say there was a couple of little tiny ones lurking around and they might grow ready, but they said that's unlikely. And these follicles were between 7 millimeters and 12 millimeters, so they'd gone up a little bit. Most of them were about 12 or a 9, and if you remember I said they have to be up to a 20. So I have another scan tomorrow to see how everything's going. I have to say something though, the nurse when I was having the scan, because your ovaries are starting to kind of grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and you've got all these little follicles producing, she had to see each one, so she was pushing down on my abdomen. And now bear in mind, during this you do start to swell from how your ovaries are growing so big, and she was pushing down on my abdomen like really really hard. Like the pain, I couldn't believe it, because my stomach is bruised already and it's quite tender there as well, because you've got these ovaries, all these little follicles growing. So she was pushing down really hard, and I was there in tears, trying my hardest not to cry. But she managed to measure them all, which was good. I had another blood test, so that's 3 I had in 1 week. And I've got another one tomorrow with a scan. Hopefully that'll be my last one, because it'll be tomorrow I find out whether I have to wait again till Wednesday for another scan and blood test, or whether we can go on for egg collection for Wednesday. But the blood test, I got the results back in the afternoon, so they have quite a quick turnaround on that. And they said my estrogen levels weren't rising as quickly as they hoped. So on the Friday, which was the day I had the scan, I had to up my dose from 150 IU to 225 IU, which was by mixing 2 vials, so 75 and 150, which I will show you in a minute how you do that. It's not as bad as it looks, it's actually not too bad. When you just literally mix 175 and 150 with 1 water, so you don't have 2 lots of water. And they also advised me to up my intake to 2.5 litres of water, plus any other fluids I can get, because my follicles are growing. It's taking water from my body, and if I don't drink enough water, then I'll dehydrate, and that will again can make you overstimulate. So I've actually bought a glass water bottle off of Amazon. I think it was £10.90, because I don't like the taste of plastics. So if you have a plastic water bottle, after a while the taste and the smell, it just really puts me off. But I find with a glass water bottle, you don't get any of the taste, you just taste water. It's got silicone grip and everything, you get them in different colours, so a lot of money but well worth it, I think. But I'm actually going through 5 of these a day. You'll be going to the toilet a lot, believe me. Well, they said 2.5 litres, which so far I have been doing, plus kind of decaf tea, and I'm also having a mug of milk in the evening as well, which it's hopefully helps with calcium and everything. So yeah, I have another scan on tomorrow, which is the 1st of December, and hopefully we'll be finding out then whether we can go on to do egg collection or not on the Wednesday. If not, it'll be probably the Friday. So it's a little bit more drawn out than I thought it would be, which I'm a little bit disappointed by, but you got to do this thing properly, otherwise it can all go wrong, and that's not going to cheer anyone up. Anyway, you remember the my progress form, my kind of what had everything laid out. This is what it looks like now. So all of these are all my Brucellorin, so I've been writing those down. So ignore the green for now because that's all obsolete at the moment until I can do that, and I've crossed all that out as well. And I've been doing them at 8:30 each day. And this is my prescription form for my Menopur. So these are all the Menopurs I've been having as well. So you get quite a few there. So lots of medication. But as I said, it hurts a bit as you go on because you are bruised. I will show you my tummy quickly, actually. I'll do that now. Sorry if I'm not in view. But I can just quickly show you now. And I'll show you what I do with the Emla cream. If you look, I've got 2 pads ready for my Emla. And I've got some nasty bruises there as well. If you can see that, I've got bruises here, bruises there, and if you also look, now my tummy wasn't the flattest when I started, but look how much you bloat. If I put that back over, you bloat quite a lot with this medication, but I don't think it's so much the medication. I think it's actually the ovaries growing. So yeah, you bloat, you bruise, everything. So yeah, get yourself some Emla cream, and believe me, you're going to need it. Now, you don't need to get a prescription for it because you should be able to get over the counter because it is a P medication. The only place I could find it, now most pharmacies should sell it, but most of them were out of stock. So the only place I could actually find it to buy it was Boots. And I think it was £5.10. You might be able to find it cheaper online. I think I found like a 30-gram tube of it for $13.99, and this is 5 gram. This, I'm nearly out of this, and I've had this since Wednesday, doing 2 injections a day, so it does last you quite a while. Anyway, time's getting on. I need to keep an eye on the time because I have my injections to do. So let me just make sure my clock is set. Bear with me. There you go. Alright, so I'm on a higher dose of the Menopur. So before I do that, I'm going to draw up my Brucellorin. Make sure I've got all that. So you've seen me draw these up before. It's usually quite quick. Just make sure everything's clean. I've already put hand sanitizer on my hands and everything, so I'm nice and clean. You do get quite quick doing this eventually. It takes time to get used to it, but it's kind of like a second nature now. You're just kind of getting used. So I'm on my second bottle, so I've got 1 bottle left. So that's how much of my second bottle I've got left. It's not a lot. Let me just wipe that. So I've got my Brucellorin syringe. So I'll draw that one up quickly while I'm here, because they don't like you to mix the Menopur until you're ready to use it. So I would recommend kind of getting it ready. For the first try, it took me about 10 minutes just to draw up the Menopur ready. Now I can do both injections, draw them up within 15 minutes. It does take a little bit longer mixing them, but you'll get the hang of it, believe me. I didn't think I could do all this, but I'm actually surprised by what I can do at the moment, to be honest. The only thing I have noticed is that I find it a little bit painful to bend down, so it gets quite sore as you're bending down, so it is worth remembering that as you get more swollen or more tender from all the injections you're doing, you might not be able to bend down as much as you used to. I'm just drawing up my Brucella, so bear with me one moment. So you can do it now even when you're doing something else. It doesn't take as long as much. So yeah, I've got my even though your dose of Menopur might go up, your dose of Brucella stays the same. So that's my 0.5 as usual. And I don't bend the needle as much now either. So I've got hardly any left in that. But you never know, I might not need it tomorrow. I'll have to wait and see. Anyway, let's get on to the Menopur before we run out of time. So my Brucella's all drawn up ready. Put that over there. Keep everything together. So you just take out your syringe as normal. So you've got your pink mixing syringe. So do that as normal, as you were doing with your normal Menopur. So you've got your syringe there ready. And then these are the ampules that I showed you before. Now you only use one of these with 150, oh sorry, dropping things, 150 and 175. So you use both of those vials. If you're using, you obviously need to go with the dose that your doctor or your consultant has mentioned, and then one of those. So this is what I'm on tonight. So I'm on 225 units tonight. Well, I was on 150, so it went Friday 225, Saturday 150, Sunday 225. So yes, so anyway, so I've got my little ampule snapper, but remember, flick it, swirl, just to get all the fluid out, because you don't want any collecting on the top as you lose it all. So you just put your little ampule popper on there. Sorry, bear with me. You'd think I'd be able to do this by now, but I still struggle. There you go. Didn't take me as long as the first time I ever did it though. So you take your lid off your syringe, and I find it helps if you tilt the bottle a bit, and you just draw up your fluid. Once it's all in the syringe, just discard that in your sharp spin, lay that down. So I always put, for some reason I put it in the 150 first, but you can put it in the 150, the 75, or whichever doses you're on. Some people can be on anything up to 300, 400 units. So they could be on 2 of these, or they could just be on 2 of those. So it just all depends. So take your cap off. I always swab the top just to be on the safe side. Get my syringe. Now for some reason it sucks it in on its own. Look, it just goes in on its own. But always screw it down as well. I always give it a light gentle swirl just to make sure that it's all mixed, because it needs to be clear. If it's cloudy, then I'd be a bit concerned. So yeah, again I tilt. You will feel a little bit of pressure as you draw it up, so just bear that in mind as you're doing that. And just draw that all up into the syringe, all nice and go, one go if you can. Make sure there's none left. There's a couple of dribbles, but I don't know about you, but I can never get those out. Let's just double check. Nope, so it's completely empty. And then now you've got your fluid in this syringe, don't take off the needle, leave that on and make sure it's in place. And then you take the cap off your second one. So some people, they have the same, I mean some might have 2 150s, some might have 2 whatever, it's the same principle each time. So again, I swap the top. get your syringe, and then what you do with the fluid that's already in there, which has got your 150 mixed in, you push it in so that it mixes with the second one. And then what you do is just mix it, swirl it again. You actually have a little groove that you can slot the needle in, if you can see that. You have a little groove that you can slot the needle in, so when you're swirling, the needle isn't bending all over the place. So we just mix that all up, make sure it's all mixed. And then what you do is you then make sure it's all mixed up nicely. So it needs to be nice and clear, so no cloudiness. And then you just draw it back into the syringe. So just go as slow or as fast as you want, as long as you're getting it in the right time, you can, it's fine. Just make sure you've got all the fluid out. Oh, see, now I've just let go of the syringe because there's a little bit of a vacuum. It just draws it all the way back in, which you don't want. So just hold it gently and then pull it out. No, I couldn't get any more in that syringe if I tried. So that's how you mix 2 vials. So now you've got your medicine in there. So that's 225 units. So I've got a 150, a 75 and 1 water. Now what I do is I flick it, take the needle off as usual, flick it again, and then what I do without the needle on, but some people don't do this, I push. You can see I push the fluid up to the top of the syringe, so it's almost right at the top, like that. So if you look, it's almost right at the top. There's a tiny air bubble there, but that's where it's joined. And then what I do is I take my next syringe, or my needle, sorry, I attach that, and that's now ready to go. Now that's what you do. And just give it another flick, make sure there's no air bubbles in it. What I sometimes do is I draw it back and then push it back up, just to be on the safe side. Because if you get any air bubbles in it, it stings like anything. It's horrible. I've only ever had an air bubble in one once, and that quite hurt. But the reason I bruised last time is I think I ended up injecting into my bloodstream by accident. It can happen. If it does, don't panic, just apply pressure and make sure it's clean. If you're worried, I would speak to your nurse. I spoke to my nurse, she says okay as long as you don't do it every time. Because although it does eventually end up in your bloodstream, you want it to kind of go into your subcutaneous. I mean, you do end up with lots of ampules left if you're doing the 2 vials. So just store them. I always store mine in the boxes that they originally came in. That way they're all in the safe place all together. And then what I've been doing, every day I've been alternating sides. So yesterday I did my left side for my Menopur, and today I'll do right side, and then vice versa with the Brucella in. The reason I do that is because it just feels better. I don't know if it alters the results of how your ovaries are growing or whatnot, but it just, I don't know, it's just thought that maybe if you're injecting it in one side and then the other, I'm just worried about one kind of producing more than the other, growing bigger. So by alternating sides, maybe it might help. So yeah, I was very disappointed about it being delayed, but it's probably for the best that we take it time. So I'll have my scan tomorrow at 10:15 in the morning, I think it is, and another blood test, and they should tell me either then or in the afternoon whether we'll be doing egg retrieval on Wednesday or Friday. Hopefully Wednesday. I just really want to get this done. I want to move on to the next step. I mean, I've been doing this for nearly a month, injections for a month. It does start wearing thin a bit, but hopefully it's all for a good cause, and we'll all get our positives out of it. So as long as you're drinking plenty of water, following all the instructions your doctors are telling you to do, and taking it easy, then hopefully everyone should have their happy little endings, which hopefully we will too. But yeah, again, I apologise for the quality of the video and the length of the video. I just noticed it's just reached a 25-minute mark. But thank you to my new subscribers as well. That actually quite surprised me. I didn't think anyone would actually want to watch this, but hello to you. Hi. And thank you for subscribing, and hopefully I'll update you again soon with what's happening. Thank you. Bye.